A couple of questions probably. One is you talked about in your speech about smart and the need for transport and programs and government, I guess, to be smart. In terms of the Metro Northwest, or maybe even the rail program, Metro program throughout, how smart is that program going to be?
Well, they'd want to be pretty smart for $20 billion, but I agree with Michelle. Like, it's great to stand in paddocks. I'm the member for Bega, so come and stand in a dairy paddock in our part of the world. We're happy to contribute the taxes to your new rail line. Actually, on this point, I got myself into real trouble because audience like yourselves, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll announce a new light rail project for Bega. Bit of a joke. We're building it down George Street, why not Bega? And cracked the joke anyway. Next day I got a phone call from a journalist in Perth saying, when's it going to be completed? So the point is, I've got to be a bit careful. So I'm not going to announce anything new here today. But what I would say is this, just listening to all this discussion, in some ways it's a bit old hat. I mean, what are we talking about? You build a piece of infrastructure and you work out how you grow the population around it. Well, that's nothing new. It's how cities have grown. But if we actually think about, well, what is going to be the emergence in terms of technology in this sense? Comes back to my point about smart innovations. If I was to look at the demographic of the Northwest and look at the way in which driverless cars are going to roll out, and I mean, let's be real here. I mean, the technology exists now. They're partially driverless cars now. Tesla have got a product. They're now going to be manufacturing it on a mass scale in the US. And, obviously a lot more affordable than some of the models we've seen previously. But if I was to look at the community here, I mean, the uptake of technology, you're all sitting with a smartphone in your pockets. I'd imagine they'll all be Apple. I don't think there'll be too many Blackberries in the room, but the point is that this week we put a mobile Opal top up in all of your pockets. Many of you wouldn't have even realised that, but that's the type of thing that government's just done. Now, if I look at driverless cars and what that means from a transport planning perspective, and I look at this part of the world and look at the appetite for innovation and technology, you've got an enormous opportunity. A lot of growth, a lot of job opportunities, a lot of wealth. People are going to want to take on that technology. And if you think about how that might translate, well, we will start to see the driverless car increasingly in our communities, and that brings on an enormous challenge as to how you configure your traffic lights, and 10-year-olds are going to be able to get themselves around in a driverless car. We're not going to have the crash rates that we've got. We're not going to have the fatalities that we've got. We're going to see third-party insurance disappear. But the technology's here, and this is my point. So it means planning, and smart investments. And that in itself changes our quality of life again. And it's happening so quickly that I think, the concept of sitting in a car without a driver sounds profound, but it's real. So that in itself deals with the biggest scourge in terms of our economy. And that is the fact that come 2020, the economic loss associated with congestion is $9 billion. So every time I go home to those dairy farmers and they're saying, oh, you're spending all this money in Sydney, blah, 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 why aren't we getting our light rail project? The point that I'd make to them is that, and it's this one, everybody in New South Wales is paying a high price for Sydney's congestion. You've all done it. Yep. It's the biggest impost of business. Your average Sydney sider is spending 10 days every year stuck on a train platform or in a car. Think about that economic loss, that productivity loss, but think about that quality of life loss. People can't get home to their kids at night, can't get to work on time. So, I'm super excited about this, but we all have to be a little bit futuristic. We've all got to think innovatively and, as a result, plan. And, I'd say to the agencies, your government departments, I mean, how often do they act as barriers? I mean, how often have we heard about red tape as impost of business? You hear it every day, but we're not using technology properly, people, to break it down. Governments haven't structured themselves to allow it. And this is where we've got to actually make some pretty tough decisions internally within government, how you structure government, because we are over-governed, there's no doubt about that, but technology can, transform it. Transport's a technology business. It's not a mobility business anymore, it's actually a technology business. And we haven't got the analysts behind it yet to properly look at the data and start to better plan things. So that's the challenge for us in the next 5 years.